evening, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome into the lab here again. New little take that we're doing. We've got hockey season fresh on the horizon. This is going to be a new night that we're doing here at the Sports Lab. It's going to be our hockey talk segment, mainly just going to be talking about the Dallas Stars. We may talk about a little bit of the other NHL, but we are big Stars fans over here at this household, so that's what we're going to be talking about. The preseason has officially began for the Stars. They traveled up to St. Louis last night for their first regular season, their first preseason matchup. Took on the St. Louis Blues. They unfortunately dropped it 2-1 in overtime. It is preseason, though. Not really many important names playing. The main important one that was out there was Braden Holtby, just seeing how he does. He allowed one goal, but other than that, faced 16 shots, made the saves that he needed to. From what I'm hearing, you couldn't watch the game anywhere around here. Unfortunately, the only way you could have watched it is if you had the Bally Sports app out in St. Louis metro area out there. So we didn't get to watch it. From what we're seeing, though, Braden Holtby played a decent, not great, but decent game. Made the saves that he had to, nothing spectacular. And then Jake Ottinger, same thing. Nothing spectacular, but nothing terrible either. Those were two that we were looking at to see. We did sign Braden Holtby in the offseason to that $2 million 1-year deal. Got a lot of storylines going into training camp. They just started training camp this past Thursday. Obviously, first game of the preseason last night. They've got another preseason game tomorrow night against Florida. That one's going to be here at American Airlines. Not sure if it's going to be on in any of the areas to where you would be able to watch it legally per se. However, there's some storylines heading into this. But the biggest storyline right now for the Stars, it's got to be, that starting goalie situation. Will Ben Bishop essentially be healthy and ready to go? The Stars have been dealing with a lot of injuries. Tyler Seguin only played 3 games last season. Did really well in all 3 games that he did play, but nonetheless, he was injured. Rope had surgery. I can't talk tonight. He had surgery this offseason. Radulov did as well. They're both healthy and back. Tyler Seguin's back. Only one that doesn't seem to be back yet is Ben Bishop. It's not really sure on if he's going to be healthy and ready to go by the first game on October the 14th. Who do they play? I'm not sure who they play again on the 4th. I think it's the Kings. I think they open up against the Kings on the 14th for the regular season. Not sure if Ben Bishop is going to be ready to go. He may be like a mid-season to late season play. He's supposedly trying to gear up to play in one of the preseason games from what they're saying. Now, if he actually will or not, I'm not sure. He's been nursing that injury for a little while. That being said, if it's not Ben Bishop, the big storyline here is then who will be the goaltender for the Dallas Stars to start off the season. The Stars made a big signing this offseason. They went and got Braden Holtby, signed him to a 1-year, I believe it was $2 million deal for a former Stanley Cup champion. That's a hell of a deal, really, for the Stars. If he can, get up to potential. Problem is his play of recent has not been where it needs to be. He only won 7 games, lost 11 when he was up in Vancouver. He did win the cup and then the Capitals did not decide to keep him. He went up to Vancouver, didn't do so hot. Vancouver actually bought him out of his final year of his contract. Stars then picked him up this offseason. If he can play anywhere what he used to be able to play like, then, that's huge. More than likely what's going to happen with Bishop probably being hurt is Holtby and Hudobin will probably be the 2 goalies they rock with for the season. That seems to be the reports that everybody's talking about right now. If they rock with them, Holtby will probably end up being the number 1 goalie over Hudobin, but it'll probably be very similar to a 1-2. They're probably going to split a lot of the games, so I don't really know if it'll be a true number 1 goalie. It'll probably just be riding whoever's hot at that time. That being said, if Ben Bishop does come back, look for him to be a little rusty. He hasn't played since Game 5 against Colorado back in 2020 when they were playing in the bubble. And that game, if y'all remember correctly, that was a game he got ran out of there. Not too sure on who's going to be the goalies. You do have Jake Ottinger there as well. Um, Jake Ottinger will more than likely probably go back to the AHL, which is, unfortunate for him. I do like Jake Ottinger quite a bit. I think he's got a lot of promise as a young goalie. He came in and played for the NHL squad all last year. Came up big in some moments out in the bubble during the Stanley Cup run. He's going to get a shot eventually, but he is going to be more than likely sent back down to the AHL to keep developing. Um, Given the chance, if any of these guys go down or just not playing well, um, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a call up to maybe come play backup or start a couple games as well in the interim until Bishop gets back in there. Um, but as a young player, I mean, he's going to be a really good goalie. We got him in the draft a few years back. He finally got up to the NHL. He showed a lot of promise. Unfortunately, just got a lot of goalies. I mean, it's a good problem to have when you have this many good goalies that you could pick from. Um, Nonetheless, though, he's going to be the odd man out from the sounds of it. But speaking of other young players, the Stars did earlier, about a couple hours ago, they officially signed their first and second round picks of the previous draft. They got Wyatt Johnson. He was the number 23 overall pick. And then Logan Stankoven, I hope I pronounced that right. He also signed his entry level 3-year contract. Wyatt Johnson, the guy we took number one, or number one for us, but number 23 overall, excuse me. He played very well in the Ontario Hockey League. He actually was a top five plus minus rating. He carried a plus 14 in the 2019-2020 season. Dude has represented Canada twice now on the international stage. Through 12 games in an international tournament with Canada. In 12 games, he's lodged 9 points. The guy is going to be a very good player in the future. He's going to go spend some time probably down in the AHL just because the Stars have a lot of depth right now. I wouldn't be surprised if he pops up in the league. Maybe if some people get hurt this year, which may happen, he'll probably get a call up to fill in. If not, he's going to be spending a lot of his time down in the AHL just developing. But he'll be up there, here in a few years, at the most few years. Speaking of the future, some of the things that is going on in the Stars right now is some of the players' futures right now are uncertain because they're going into final years of contracts. And nothing, was done for these players over the offseason. These players are John Klingberg, Alexander Radulov, Joe Pavelski. All three of these players, I believe there's some others as well, they're all heading into final years of their contract. They have not received extensions as of yet. Rumor has it with Klingberg, he will probably be more likely looking to test free agency. The Stars are, content with letting him go just due to the fact that we do have Miro Haskin as our number one defenseman. Klingberg has earned, top dollar for a defenseman. The Stars, it may not make sense for them to pay since they do have Miro and they just signed him to an 8-year, $67 million deal as well. So he's going to be a Dallas Star for a while. If they can work it out and get him to stay, that's going to be huge for the Stars. Though, be a big defensive pair, and they're going to put him on a line with Daryl Suter this upcoming season that they got here in the offseason. I think that's a big signing for our defense. Going to really toughen us up back there. Allow Klingberg to maybe feel more comfortable to get up in the rush on the transition game per se, because he'll have that other defensive ally back there kind of hanging back, playing a more physical style. Radulov, I haven't heard much about him, but it is concerning that they haven't, looked to do an extension. Obviously, if he, plays like he can play and plays very well, I wouldn't be surprised they look to re-sign him. Pavelski, man, dude, veteran leadership. It's a matter of, where he really wants to go. At this point, he knows, he's not going to be getting, top dollar, but he will get paid very, very handsomely because he does provide a lot of veteran leadership. He's been huge for the Stars, especially in the bubble hockey. I hope we, are able to work something out with him and we don't lose him after this upcoming season. But this could very his last season in the Stars uniform as well. So look for him to make a splash this year. Coming out of preseason and in the regular season, he'll be looking to boost those stats. Contract year, these guys are going to be looking, to play the best hockey they can, get the biggest deals they can at the end of this year. Lastly, the last person that is expiring, this guy, he's not a player. It's actually head coach Rick Bowness. He's going into his final year. There is no extension as of right now that's been ironed out, at least, for Rick Bowness. The Stars may be kind of waiting to see kind of what he does. If you really think about it, the 2020 Stanley Cup run, that year, in essence, he was not the head coach to start that season. He did inherit that team from Montgomery just due to, his off-ice issues. Not discounting what Rick Bowness has done. He got those guys together there at COVID, rallied them together, sent them into the bubble. They played for each other. They played for him, and they ended up getting all the way to the Stanley Cup final. They didn't pull it out, but they got all the way there, which is, a feat in itself. That being said, the turnaround year on the short season had a little bit of a lackluster year. Go from playing in a Stanley Cup final to not even making it in the playoffs. Banged up or not, you've got to field a better season than that with the talent that we do have on the roster. I think this is going to be a prove-it year for him. I think if he, gets the team to the playoffs, makes, a little bit of a run there, I would not be surprised to see him back behind the bench the next season. If they get off to a very rough start and they do not play well, that may not end too well for Mr. Rick Bowness. But the players seem to really like playing for him, so hopefully, they can get off to a good start. All the players, can have, contract years essentially where they just go off, get paid to, play and get the money they deserve essentially. Rick Bowness, I'm impartial to him. I don't know quite. He had me really sold in the Stanley Cup run. The shortened season, he seemed like he was into it, but he couldn't get the team into it. I don't know if that was due to the injuries though. This year will be a prove-it year for him, and look forward to seeing how he does there behind the bench and shapes up the Stars team moving into it. He's came out and said, hey, nobody's, being given their positions this year. Captain's going to have to earn it. If you want the top line, you're going to have to earn it. One good thing is for him getting the players back from injury that he's going to get back. He's essentially getting a whole line worth of talent between Tyler Seguin, Radulov, and Rope all coming back from their injuries. Those are all big players, so if they stay healthy, that's going to be good for him. Hopefully, they'll put it together. Lastly, the NHL, they made a big announcement this offseason that they are no longer going to NBC. They've switched over. The ESPN is now going to be on, or NHL is now going to be on ESPN. They'll be having some games on ESPN Plus and Hulu. The Stars are actually going to get 11 nationally televised games, some on TNT, some are going to be on ESPN Plus or Hulu Live. You'll be able to catch them in those locations. The rest of the games will more than likely be on the Bally Sports channel. I'm not sure if they have those blackouts again. I hope not. I know a lot of people were not happy. They were upset they weren't able to watch the Dallas Stars play last year due to a lot of the cable networks not carrying them. I think it's just AT&T that still does. If you got Bally Sports, though, you can watch it. If not, you're going to have to find some other ways. Maybe look into getting that cable provider that has it, or, do what you do. I'm not encouraging anything. But that being said, though, guys, we got plenty more to talk about here with the Stars leading up to the regular season. We don't want to dive too far into all of it just yet. We've got 3 weeks to kill over time here through the preseason. We'll dive into all the different storylines throughout the week. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel, so that way you guys can get notice whenever we are going live on the channel here. Again, this Hockey Talk is going to be every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. Give or take a few minutes on a dad. I got to put my kid to bed, so yeah, thanks for checking it out, guys. Make sure to come back next Tuesday. Peace.